Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Sperging Out Podcast. My name is Mitch Grace, and I'm the author of the book Growing Up with Asperger's, Lessons Learned, and Shareable Wisdom, available on Amazon right now in audiobook, paperback, and e-Kindle formats. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host extraordinaire.
Hello, I'm a practicing behavioral therapist, and I'm happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you, as always. And so today, co-host extraordinaire, I am thrilled that we have not only our first guest, but someone that is going to greatly contribute to the discussions that we've had, because we've every time we discuss autism, we're only speaking from our own experiences and the clients you've worked with, and there's only so much we try to talk about how, certain issues affect, women with autism, but there's only so much we can say.
Yeah, especially like my clientele. I only have a couple female clients, so it's like even my expertise is pretty lacking in that area.
Exactly. So what better way to discuss autism as it comes to women than having an autistic woman on the show? And so we would like to welcome our good friend, Hannah. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And so, do you want, to kick things off, Hannah, when did you first realize that, maybe you didn't interact the same way other kids did? When did you first suspect that you might have, something related to autism?
I feel like it really, it's such a vivid memory, too. It feels like it was, in the third grade. I really that I was a lot different than even with my friends in my friend group, I felt so different from them. And it started in, the third grade, really to the fifth grade, is when I just really started noticing how I felt like an outcast and different I was from everybody I was around, so.
What made you feel different? Just different opinions, or?
Not different opinions, kind of I felt a different maturity than them, and the things I wanted to do felt very, I don't know, childish, a little bit younger, because I also have a younger sister, so I was like, oh, why am I feel closer in age to my younger sister and want to do these things? And then it was I never had the same interests as everyone, very much I don't know, it just socially I felt different than everyone, and I don't know how to, I was young, but I knew socially I felt very different. I didn't have many friends either. I actually preferred to play alone, even on the playground with all my friends. I preferred to play alone and do my own thing, because I didn't have to perform, I felt and be different to fit in.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel pressured to try to fit in, or try to be like everyone else, but it just didn't click?
Yeah, I would really try, but then I just it was obvious I was trying so hard.
Yeah, it never felt natural or fulfilling. It just felt like you were putting on a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with family members too.
Yeah, in the field we call that masking usually.
Yeah.
And I have plenty of clients that have either learned to mask extremely well,
yeah,
or they don't mask at all because they don't have the social incentives to mask. They don't care.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Did your parents, friends, or even siblings point out to you that maybe you had different mannerisms than kids your age?
Yeah, I came from an older family, and so the parents I was raised with, they're in their 50s, and now they're in their 60s, nearing 70s. So it was treated differently back then, to them. It was almost they would basically call me the R word and stuff.
Yeah.
And
really?
Yeah, because in their time that was acceptable. That's what you called them.
Yeah, I've had clients' parents use that terminology too, and refer to their son or daughter as intellectually disabled for having autism, and I'm like, that's not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a degree of separation between being mentally retarded and being autistic.
Yeah.
That's very unfortunate, but please continue.
Yeah, and then they would call me just a weirdo, and whenever I was kind of having a moment, instead of they would think I was just being weird and funny, when really I was
being you.
Yeah.
Being legit.
Yeah, being legit. That was just me, and they were just always laughing at me. So it never really had very comforting. Even now, really, I just don't really talk about it with them very much. But I know it's there,
they know it's there, but in their time they didn't even believe in anxiety and depression, so
Yeah.
they thought you just weren't getting enough sunlight.
Yeah, the baby boomer generation was fed a lot of like medical and mental misinformation.
Yeah.
So they all grew up thinking all of these crazy things, and I wouldn't even blame them. It's like if you're told by every institution that this isn't real or this is a mental or intellectual disability, who are you to argue? You grew up being told that your whole life.
Yeah.
And the problem comes whenever that generation is presented with new, updated, accurate information. Then do they either
Adapt or
plant their roots even further.
Mm-hmm.
But circling back, so we've briefly touched on how you came up with your family. What about in the classroom? And did teachers ever say did teachers treat you any differently than the other classmates?
Yeah, so this happened all throughout my school life, like basically up into college, because college professors don't really care about that stuff. But like from like kindergarten to high school, they treated like I was just like a bad kid, and that I was just bad, didn't want to do my work, was just being lazy, and all this stuff, and like squirming. And the best way I used to cope in class was drawing all over my notebooks. It would help me. Like I would remember like my drawings, and it helped me remember my notes and whatever.
Yeah.
But they like didn't like that and all that, and so they treated me, even the students, like they would call me like, dumb or stupid or something like that, or like weird, and felt very outcast.
Did any of the teachers ever like contact your family about it? Being like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe they have ADHD or something like that? Because ADHD was like a kid's acting different and they're 8, probably have ADHD, even though most kids act that way.
Yeah. So another problem I also had was that I had like delayed speech. I wasn't speaking properly when I was younger.
Delayed speech is like the first sign that someone may have autism in
Yeah.
the field. It's so super common.
Yeah. And so they just thought, also my parents just kind of also thought I was just being a bad kid. Like, yeah, so like they didn't really, it wasn't until like the 3rd grade when I had one teacher that was really pushing, like, she needs to go get tested. Like, and so my elementary school, it's public school, so there's a 504 program. Mm-hmm. So my parents were kind of really hesitant again because they don't believe in it. They think it's just like the kid wants attention or acting out or something like that. And so it wasn't until like the 5th grade that I fully got tested and was put in the 504 program. And then, I don't know, the school system just doesn't really care. At least the schools I went to, they never really cared.
Yeah, no, it's pretty difficult. It depends on the school, of course, but a lot of school systems, the worst thing they do is they'll take everyone who has special needs, no matter what the need is, and put them all in one Gen Pop classroom. And you're like, someone with autism is not the same as someone with Down syndrome, is not the same as someone with an actual intellectual disability, or like in a wheelchair. Like, those are very different disabilities, and to just clump them all together just does not work.
Yeah.
I remember having a client who was the nicest kid ever, but had autism, ADHD, OCD, and they put him in a classroom with a extremely violent person who they'd have to have body pads and make sure he like didn't hurt anyone, and it just wasn't a good learning environment. Like, it just didn't work. So like, I understand why schools do it because they can't make a classroom for every individual student, but there has to be a better like way to handle it than just cramming everyone in a room and hoping it works out.
Yeah.
Do you recall how your parents reacted to the, results of the test that you got in 5th grade?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my parents, they believed it, but, like, it still was not an excuse to them. So it was always like, I don't know, they're like, learn to cope. Like, learn to whatever, instead of really like helping me. They'll be like, I don't know, things that are not helpful to someone that has autism. Like I was saying, they're like, they believe that if you're depressed, like, go get some sunlight or something. It'll be something like that. It's like,
just smile.
Yeah. Literally, that's what it was like. Because I also like didn't show a lot of emotion as a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, they always thought I was just pissed off all the time, and I really wasn't. I just, like, my mom would be like, why don't you ever smile? I'm like, I don't want to smile. Like, I'm happy, but I don't want to shout. Like, I don't know. I don't want to. And so they never really, like, accepted it. It was just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. They'll bring it up almost in a joking way toward me if I mess up and they notice, but it's never like...
It's never supportive.
Yeah, it's never supportive or constructive too.
Yeah, because the constructive part's the important part. Because, like, honestly, I would argue that the correct parenting or, family style would be to be like, hey, you need to learn coping methods and handle this behavior. Yeah. Because if you don't, it'll just, it'll inhibit your ability to be a functional adult later in life. But they have to do it in a supportive, constructive way, not a dismissive, just fix yourself way.
Yeah,
like,
that's what
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. It was like, all right, figure this out, because we don't, like, we don't want to deal with it. Yeah.
Why don't you just be normal?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thanks, that's helpful.
Go socialize, go hang out with friends, and I'm like, I don't want to.
When was the first time someone had even mentioned the term autism, or you'd, like, heard or learned what autism was? Because, like, it's kind of wild to me that you had that speech delay and no one ever brought that up, because that's, like, again, that's, like, where most people find out they have autism is, like, hey, your kid's 1 year behind on speech. That's usually a sign of autism.
Yeah. I literally felt third grade, and I had to retake third grade. And it was mainly because of my English classes and my speech, and I also went into pre-K late, too.
Okay.
So there is they thought maybe just because, I don't know, like, I went into pre-K late, I thought maybe you were, like,
kind of delayed in general.
Yeah, but it really kept up with my whole life. Like, even now, I really can't, like, fully say words and say them correctly, and it really messes me up. Or I start stuttering. Like, if I, like, start really getting nervous, I'll start stuttering on a word and so on. So they don't. Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm surprised that no one mentioned that. I guess it's just an education issue. Like, people just don't know what autism is. Like, if you weren't talking about how much you like trains for 12 hours straight, they're like, that's not autism.
No, literally.
So even with you getting these results in 5th grade, your parents still didn't they didn't change essentially.
No, they didn't even change the way they like I mentioned some of the words they would call me. They never even changed those, like, addressing
really?
it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't really know what, now that I'm, like, talking about it out loud, I don't even know why they're not more like if I was a parent to myself as a kid, I'd be like, this girl got autism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall how your siblings reacted to this news, and did they change?
My siblings, they...
Well, I want to before I interrupt. Do any of your siblings also have special needs or autism?
Good question.
That's pretty common. Usually, if one sibling has it, one of the other siblings might have it too, because it's congenital.
Yeah. So I have adoptive siblings, and then I have biological siblings. Okay. So my adoptive siblings, no, they're kind of. They don't have anything. I think one of my siblings has, like, ADHD or something. Yeah. But they're just very chill. They don't really say anything about it, but they know, like, they love me despite it.
They just treat you like a normal person?
Yeah. Like, they might crack a joke every now and then, but I crack a joke every now and then towards myself anyway, so it's not something they don't say anything I wouldn't say about myself.
Yeah, it's like the tone, where it's like they're not judging you with the joke, they're just making a joke.
Yeah. So, but my younger sibling, I'm not really sure. Sometimes I think with her because we're fully related, but I don't really know. No one really. I think maybe she has, like, a different disorder or something, but I don't know if it's autism. But she got something going on. I don't know what it is. So.
I mean, it's also a spectrum. So, like, I've worked with clients where like, I'll walk in and interact with the parent who's never been diagnosed with autism, and immediately be like, oh, this parent has autism for sure. And then other times where I'll interact with the parent, I'm like, they're a teeny bit abnormal, like, not neurotypical, but, like, not enough where I would ever diagnose them with autism. They're just, like, a little kooky sometimes. Yeah. And so, like, you never really know where you land on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So you before we started the show, you mentioned that you didn't have that 504 program all throughout your elementary, middle, high school career. When did that stop, and then how did it affect you?
So it was really weird because I got diagnosed in 5th grade. I went to was a public school in elementary school. And then I went to a public school in middle school. But despite being 504, literally in my last year of elementary school, I didn't have any 504 classes in middle school. But I did have like special testing sometimes. Like I would be able to go to a room to test because like there's too much.
You get your accommodations.
Yeah,
they have to give you those.
But I never had a class that was still like I could still go to learn some tools from because I only was in it for 1 year, so it didn't feel fair that they never carried it on. And then when I got to high school, I went to it's not a private school. I forget what they were called. It's not
charter.
I went to a charter school. And they did not have a 504 program. They didn't start it until my senior year, and I was actually leaving my senior year to go to a different charter school. And they had a little bit better program. But my high school year, I had no 504 program. I don't even know how this is a legit school, because you guys are about to be, like, mind blown. No. My teachers didn't know what dyslexia was.
What?
Yeah. Classes are AP.
AP, what does AP mean?
Like most of them were like advanced placement classes.
Ah, okay, thanks.
So like pretty much all the classes, like it was an advanced placement school, which I needed even more help in. I had to take like 3 years of Latin. I like failed.
What?
Yeah,
Oh
that was horrible for me. I was like crying all the time about Latin and Latin homework.
You went to school in the 80s. Like who teaches Latin anymore?
Yeah, and then I would like be failing all the time, and my teachers would be calling my parents being like, she's a bad student, she doesn't want to work or try, and I really am trying. And so they're like telling my parents all this stuff, and it's really just like I'm having so much anxiety, and I'm like freaking out, and I don't fit, like all these people like are so much smarter than me, and like I have no tools, and it's all these advanced classes, and
why were you in advanced classes? I don't understand. Like,
I don't know.
That's such a weird placement. Like, oh, this person's having difficulties learning. Let's put them in the harder classes?
Yeah.
Like.
Also, do you recall, because you went to a charter school, how did you end up in that charter school? Because I'm curious. Yeah, if you were in elementary, middle, why didn't you go just straight into high school?
Yeah, it's a good question. Did your family decide on that?
They decided on it in my 7th grade year.
Why, though?
And I don't know, because our neighbors were sending their kids to the school.
There you go.
And
the classic.
My parents are like, despite my disabilities, my parents are like, we want like an honor A student, we want you in sports, we want an all around good kid, because my siblings kind of were not good kids, so they're like, we're gonna make it up here. They were
banking on you.
Yeah, and
which trying to live vicariously through you.
Yeah, which was even harder on top of everything, like
those expectations.
Yeah, and also like being called a bad student, but really I'm just struggling to even socialize. Like I would, or like for example, I said earlier, I like drawing. They hated that I like drawing. Like I would get in trouble in class for drawing in class, even though it helped me focus and like pay attention, or fidgeting. They didn't like that either. And
God, they can't stop that.
Yeah.
It's so draconian to hear these stories. I hate them so much.
This was like 2016, 2017.
That's insane to me, because like in modern therapy, at least if it's a good therapy clinic, like stimming, fidgeting, drawing, those kind of things are all coping mechanisms, and we all agreed that they're healthy, and stopping them is unhealthy.
Yeah.
It causes more anxiety, more stress, and worse performance across the board. There's no reason to punish those activities.
Could you say again when this happened? You said the years just a
second ago.
Yeah,
it was like from 2015, 2016, and then 2017, 2018. I graduated 2018. And I had failed some of my classes, actually. I had to take a read over the summer.
So, folks, the reason I asked our guest why about those years is that this is less than 10 years ago. Ghost Extraordinary. This isn't like the early 2000s. This ain't the late 90s. No, this
is contemporary. This is not old enough to be, it's just how people were back then. This is now, essentially.
Less than 10 years ago. I want to emphasize that for folks at home. And that you mentioned that Could you elaborate on the 504 program that you did get into? That wasn't great, but it was an improvement about the one you had previously when you were in those charter schools. Because I want to know what was the difference that made it slightly better.
When I was in the 504 program.
Yeah, like in the charter schools, you said.
It wasn't exactly better. I just had, like, there was a room I could go to. And there was a teacher in that room that was like, I don't really remember what. I think she had like some training, but she was primarily like a teacher. But I'm sure she had some special training to be. And she was just so kind and helpful and patient with me. And even if I was having a rough day, like emotionally in school or something like that, I could always go to her and she would really help calm me down. And I could go there whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
And I could go study in there in the quietness, and there was other kids like me in there, so we would really all, like, it was fun because we were, like, all together, so we really kind of bonded, and it was of all, like, ages. It was, like, just high schoolers, be freshmen in there.
Yeah, it was their accommodation room, because, like, every public school has to give these specific accommodations to anyone with special needs.
Yeah.
But if you go to a charter school or a private school, they don't have, the government's not funding them, so they can just ignore all of that and just treat you like everyone else.
Yeah. The charter school I went to my senior year is actually under the same umbrella as the other charter school I went to.
So is it a matter of like funding that the charter school with the better accommodations do you think it was an issue of funding? Do you think it was an issue of location because I'm just trying to figure out if both charter schools are under the same umbrella, why did one have that accommodation room and why did the other not?
In my experience, charter schools and private schools, they usually have like umbrella administration, but the main thing is the local administration, the people who actually work in the building, they really do control like everything.
Oh, okay.
So like the schools I've gone to and observed at and worked at for these private and charter situations are rapidly different, even if they're technically the same school, the same company. It really just comes down to like what did the admins in the location decide to do, because like it kind of makes sense. Like if you have a charter school and there's not a single person with special needs, you don't need to set up all these special needs accommodations. But if you have enough people that it's necessary, you set them up.
You mentioned that in the quote-unquote better charter school that you had in the accommodation room with students that also had, I'm assuming, similar disabilities and whatnot.
No, they're kind of all over the spectrum. Some of them had ADHD. Some of them had autism like me and dyslexia. I have both of them. Mm-hmm. And then they also had like people, I think there was one person with Down syndrome in there. Mm-hmm. And it was like a variety of us. It was basically, it was like a safe zone in the school to decompress.
Gotcha. The reason I ask about all that is because I want to use this as a transition to, so you were diagnosed in 5th grade. I'm curious throughout your school career, how your time in school, essentially how were you treated by other kids from elementary, middle school, and then both charter schools you went to?
Surprising elementary was like I don't know why little kids are sometimes just savages, but they were so mean to me.
There's so much psychology to this. Like kids learn that they can get things and want things well before they learn any sort of moral structure or compass.
Yeah.
So they don't feel remorse. There's this like nightmare age period where they want stuff and will do anything to get the thing, and they have no ability to feel empathy. Yeah. Not really.
Yeah, they were the worst Polly in elementary school. They were just so mean to me. Not just about like me being weird, it was also like I wasn't as smart as them, and it was obvious, like especially because a lot of these kids I grew up with in all my classes. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of the kids stayed in the school, so like all the way through. So like we kind of grew up together in elementary school, and like I remember when there was like speed round multiplication and we would have to like stand up and there would be like a problem, and my anxiety was just like through the roof. Yeah. I was worried about I'm like, okay, stop fidgeting, like be cool, you know, like, you know, and like also I didn't know the problem ever. I couldn't do it that fast, and I would be under so much performance anxiety.
They made y'all stand up and
Yeah.
do speed math.
Yeah.
My school never did that. I would have like a mental breakdown.
No, yeah.
I'm good at math and neurotypical, and that still sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, and it really like if you fail all the time, it's kind of noticeable that you fail all the time. Like eventually I just stopped trying. Like I would just stand up and then not answer and so on because it was too much. It was too much. Like everyone looking at me and everything. So
Yeah, I mean it's not a very good way to teach.
yeah, in middle school it wasn't that bad. I just felt, you go through puberty, so I felt even more socially awkward and different. Like I was figuring out myself. And then I was figuring out, okay, I'm really different than everyone else. Like, why can't I keep friends? And like, why do even my friends like we would be considered like the weird kids or something like that? And I'd really try hard to fit in.
So you went through like the mental stages of puberty at the same time as everyone else?
Yeah.
Because I've had clients that like hit puberty like 5 years after everyone. Like physically they went through puberty, but like mentally that anxiety shift happened later in life.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to work with when you're like almost a grown adult and then you're going through that like anxiety phase.
Yeah. I feel like mine was actually a little bit like earlier. Like I felt like what people were going through in middle school, I kind of felt earlier, especially socially. And I wonder if maybe like because I felt like such a social outcast, maybe it induced it a little bit earlier inside of me.
Could be the case.
And I don't know, I just felt like I went through a little bit earlier than everyone, but it amplified in middle school, and I never really stopped feeling it in high school. It carried on, but kind of since like 18 on, I've been able to step away from my parents and everything, and I felt a little bit...
Yeah.
Got some more coping. I went to therapy and so on, so...
Okay.
Got a little bit more help in that area, because it was getting really bad that I was... just secluding myself, like I would not see anyone forever, and just...
That's what a lot of the clients I work with, the higher functioning clients, have done as a coping mechanism. They just don't socialize.
Yeah.
Go to school, then they go home, then they sit in the room and play games, listen to music, do whatever. But they don't talk to their family, they don't talk to their friends, and it's easy to get into that cycle where you just do that every day because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, life will force you out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, in like middle school, like for a whole year, I did not want to go outside. Like I didn't want to go to the grocery store with my family. I didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to stay in my room. I really like drawing. I draw all the time. I was like playing the piano. I literally my favorite books at this time were like world record books, or be like the random fact books that you can get at the book fairs, like where it'd be all these random like facts. I freaking love those books all the time. And I just wanted to do that all the time and listen to music. I didn't want to even see my family. They're like dragging me out of the house.
Was it like during this time? Was it really just you just hated socializing that much, or was it what was it that made you just not want to leave the house? Was it a combination of things, or was it the fact that your parents are forcing you to socialize? So like you no longer saw socializing as like voluntary or something?
It just felt exhausting to mask in socializing. Like, it got to a point where I was like, it's more energy. I just felt like I was using all this energy to go outside and mask and pretend to be normal and it really would be like whatever group I would be with. I would be like putting on the mask that like perfectly reflects that group, and then I would take that off, and then if it's another group, I would just be wearing the mask that reflects that group, and it's just exhausting. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have people that I could hang out with that were not just like me, but
where you could just be yourself and not have to think about that stuff.
Yeah, and my parents are very like my mom. Like, there's like, not to be like women, but like women like. There's a lot of societal pressure to be like a certain way in public. Yeah. Even in my mom being her age, it was even bigger back then. So like, also like I didn't like the clothes I was forced to wear from my parents. Like I never felt comfortable in them. I didn't like the styles. I didn't like the fabrics. I didn't like the clothes I had to wear. Like it was like really not it. Besides like, it was little. Way girlier than I wanted to be. I wasn't comfortable. it was just all this like societal pressure to be so girly and and conformed and so on. And those are the people my mom hung out with and my sister hung out with and my family and friends. And it was just like, I didn't want to do that. It was too much.
Yeah, because like the whole point of socializing is to like put yourself out there and get like support and affirmation for who you are. And if you're going out there as someone else every time and then being told who you are is incorrect or doesn't fit in right, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
You end up associating socializing or going out with all these extra expectations and all this stress and all this anxiety, and you're not getting any positive benefits from it.
Yeah, I even feel that nowadays sometimes. Like, me and my friends will go to the bars, and, like, my friend's a very social group, and I'm not, and I just feel like, I just don't like it. Like, they want to get dressed up and do this, and I'm like, oh, I just want to have drinks at home and play video games with everyone.
I went through this personally, because in college, we would have parties all the time, and I would socialize, and then after college, I hosted parties, like, every single week, and it was fun, but there was this point where I just was like, I don't enjoy this anymore. So I stopped like hosting as much and then stopped going out to other parties, and it's a weird habit because you feel like almost guilt for like not going to your friend's party, but like you really do have to take that moment and be like, am I going to enjoy this? This is for me. You know?
Yeah.
You have no obligation to go to a party or socialize if it's going to make you feel bad.
And most of the times I couldn't even talk about anything I liked anyways. So I didn't want to do that. I'm like, I don't even, like, every time they're talking about things, it's not even anything I'm interested in either. And I found that with kind of everyone, too. And I'm like, oh, I obsessed over my topics way too much.
Yeah,
like,
what were your, like, hyper-focused topics, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so when I was little, I was really obsessed with, like I said, I love facts. Like, I just, like, I have roommates, and I'll come home every day, and I'll be like, guess what, guys? It'll be some fact I learned. Something so random, too. And I'll be going on this whole tangent because, like, if I have a question, I'll just go to Google and I'll just go, like, read tons of articles.
In the rabbit hole. I've done that.
And I'll do it for anything I have a question on, too. So it'll just be all these random things. So I really love, like, researching facts. I really started obsessing, like, over mental health books and, like, stuff like that. And like psychology, I really started obsessed over. I have so many just books sitting on my shelf. And then art has always been my biggest obsession. Music has been my biggest comforter throughout my entire life. That's been a constant, like, hyper focus of mine. Like, anything I'm doing, I need music
playing in the background.
Yeah, like if I'm going to the grocery store, I literally will not go to the store without headphones. Even if I'm with Rebecca, like, I wish I had headphones on. Like, I can't with the sensory links.
And then, and for those at home, Rebecca is your fiance, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, I knew that, but for the sake of sake of the audience, I needed to bring that up. That's interesting because because grocery stores nowadays, they play music on their own, but you is it just the comfort of your own music you like, or is it the way that the music is playing in the grocery store that makes you uncomfortable?
The way the music, like, I like my music only because it helps. The songs I choose are very comforting to me, and I really don't like modern music very much. I don't like the sounds, and besides just the music, it's like the sounds of the grocery store and people in the grocery store. Like, if it's really crowded, I also won't go in. If it's loud, I won't go in. In concerts, I like to be in the back of the concerts. Rebecca likes to be in the front, so it doesn't really work out very well. But I like to be in the back where there's not a lot of people touching me and I can have my own space.
Yeah, and headphones are a good, like, way of kind of signaling to the people around you, like, I don't want to talk to you. Yeah,
that's another thing. I don't want to socialize with anyone. I don't want people to get the idea they can just, I don't know, talk to me. Like, I don't want to talk. I'm in and out of here with my headphones. And we're not. Yeah.
Like, I'm one of those psychos that will talk to any stranger if I'm in the same room with them. Yeah. So, like, at the store, I talk to people all the time. But, like, everyone kind of implicitly knows, like, if someone's wearing headphones, you just don't talk to them because they're busy. You know, they don't want to talk to you.
And then that goes double for, like, people in the gym, too.
Oh, yeah.
So we're kind of delving into sensory perceptions. I don't want to say overload, but because that's the exact term. But growing up,
just sensory issues or sensory.
Yeah, sensory issues. So yeah, growing up, like I mean, we kind of touched on this, like loud music, maybe people approaching you and when you didn't want to be approached and whatnot, but like sensory issue wise, did you ever, like was it fireworks, was it loud music? When did you first realize that you had these issues? And then, like, did that list of sensory issues like shift as you got older? Because like with me, it's like certain fabrics, and like when I was younger, absolutely not. But nowadays, they're just fine. Bad fireworks. When I was younger, I could not do fireworks. Now, I can do them just fine. So, for you, what was it?
Mine never really changed. I still don't like loud music, and it's not even loud music. It's loud sounds and close to my ears. I almost like immediately get upset, and I'm like getting angry, and I'm like I'm done, or like. If like same for sometimes we'll be in the mall and it'll start getting really loud, like especially when it's really packed.
Oh yeah.
And Rebecca will be like, "Oh, are you upset with me?" I'm like, "No, like I'm done. I need to get out. Like I need fresh air. Like this is too much. Like I'm getting like upset and I'm sweating and like panicking." And then like same for like fabrics, I still don't like certain fabrics. I don't like slimy things and sticky things. I don't like that either. Like if the minute something sticky touches me, I'm like scrubbing my hands down or getting it off because I don't like my hands really being dirty. Mm-hmm. I had very comfort fabrics. Like people had a baby blanket. I had a baby jacket. Like I loved the fabric of the jacket so much. I kept it throughout elementary school, and I would just be sleeping with it. Even if it was too small for me, I loved the fabric of it so much. Like it was my comfort jacket, and it was like some Disney jacket. It just had really soft, I don't know, cold fabric, and I just loved it so much. But I still don't like the same fabrics I didn't like as a kid.
Interesting. So like when you go to concerts, they're loud. A lot of people are there in a condensed area. You mentioned you are at the back of the concert. Like, I'm just curious how you learned to cope with concerts. I don't know if cope is the right word,
because even in the back it can be pretty loud.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know how to properly cope with it. I sometimes will get like a beer, or like 3 beers is usually my limit where I'm like, all right, because I'm so small. But like, I'll get a beer and it helped me like, I don't know. Sometimes it'll help me calm down, especially in social settings. I feel a lot less anxiety.
Yeah. Have you ever tried just bringing like earbuds or like
earplugs? I have brought earbuds.
Because I've taken earplugs to concerts just because they're always way too loud.
Agreed.
Yeah. The thing is, the concerts, I really like am picky about the venues. Like if and it's not a pop concert, it's really not that bad in the back, and I don't mind it. I like put my hands over my ears or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I've gone to a rock concert at that venue you just mentioned, and that's the one with like the grass in the back, right? And everything else is seating.
Yeah.
I wasn't close to the stage, but I was somewhat in the middle. And I could tell just by looking where I'm like, yeah, if I was in the grass, I feel like I'd be having a bit more of a comfortable time because I did not bring earplugs, and I regretted it ever since. But nowadays, like I went to a concert not too long ago, and I brought earplugs, and oh my god, I had such a better experience.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I went to a concert, and it was a dumpy little venue, but the venue my friend's band could get, so they're playing and they're good, but they had the audio mixing was just beyond bad. It was so awful. At me and the girl I was there with for the next 2 days. 2 days we had tinnitus ringing in our ears.
Oh, absolutely.
And after that, I was like, I'm bringing earplugs to every concert because if that ever happens again, I don't want to leave. I want to support my friends, but I'm not gonna put myself through it.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, Hannah. Were you a picky eater growing up?
No, surprisingly. Well, textures of foods I won't eat. Like I won't eat fish because I don't like the texture of the fish. Mm-hmm. I don't like it's like, I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like peas.
Can I ask real fast? When you say fish, do you mean like the skin of the fish or the meat itself?
Well, both. Because I also don't like scales. Like I don't like.
Fair. Yeah.
It literally like, for me, like I'll literally. My dad used to like chase me around with like, a garden snake or something. Be like, here, and I'm like screaming, crying, throwing up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But not really, but you know.
Yeah. Just the fact that it's a snake too makes it way worse.
Yeah,
It's
like I
he's
hate,
not chasing around with like fish skin as like a joke. It's like this is a snake still.
Yeah, and like and then the eating part of the fish, I don't like the meat. I don't like the way the meat. Like I don't like the texture of the meat. Same with peas. I don't like peas. Really squishy foods. I don't like squishy foods, and I don't like really really cold foods like ice cream. I'm not the hugest fan of.
I think that's fair. I don't like peas either because of the texture. They're mushy. They're gross.
Yeah,
they don't taste that good either. It doesn't help.
Yeah, I don't like beans either. Beans are the same way for me. I don't like beans either. Just the same type of.
Are we talking green beans or are we talking refried and black and pinto beans?
Yeah, refried black and pinto beans.
I ask about the food because you mentioned earlier the like slimy textures, like touching wise, you're just absolutely not a fan of. So I'm just wondering if that also applied to your diet because for me growing up, I was a very, very picky eater.
Yeah.
You know, my poor parents. But now I like to think my palate's quite expansive. Well, compared to when I was younger, holy moly. So I'm just wondering, did your palate ever expand as you got older or... Yeah.
Yeah, with flavors, but not textures.
Could you elaborate on flavors?
Like, I grew into, like, more, like, for a while, I only liked sweet things are sweet, salty things are salty.
Never mixed together.
But never mixed together. Like, I still don't really like that to this day, but if it's, like... I don't know. There's been times I tried it and I was like, all right, it's not that bad, but probably I won't get this on my own ever again.
Yeah. Example?
Like, I don't know. There's like been ice creams that Rebecca's got me to try. Some cookies that are like, they're a sweet cookie, but it has salt on it.
Yeah, like salted caramel or something.
Yeah, but when it's actually like a lot of Asian dishes, like especially Japanese dishes, you think it's hot, but it's really like just sweet and salty.
Yeah, teriyaki sauce, hoisin sauce, that's sweet and salt put together.
Yeah, I don't really like that. Like, I tried it, but I was like, I just can't. Like, I really like them separately, and I never like to mix them at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people will. Like, everyone I know pretty much will. I do not like it.
You're not going to get very far with Mexican candy either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm with you on Mexican candy. It's like, it's supposed to be spicy, but it's salty. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this
a room full of wrong people? Mexican candy's the best.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's objectively bad. I'm just saying it's not for me.
The moment someone put chili powder and salt on a sucker, oh man, they had a recipe going. That stuff's so good.
I'm glad you enjoy it, Coach Extraordinaire. I personally don't.
That's fair.
Hannah, I'm curious, so with your fiance, do you often, like, how often do you try new experiences, like new restaurants, new venues? You mentioned, you mentioned, concerts. How do you venture out into, like, okay, I want to try this. This is how I'm going to do it.
Well, with her, she gives me a lot of like comfort, and she'll comfort me if I get really anxious in like a social setting. Like, she wants me to start stepping outside more, because besides like in the woods, I love the woods and hiking because I don't have to see or perform or put on a mask in the woods. Like, it's literally like my favorite thing to like go and do, like go on a hike or something. But with her, she likes going out, she likes shopping, she likes going to stores and stuff, and I'm like, that's a lot of stores, a lot of socializing, that's a lot of sounds. Like, but if I feel like overwhelmed, she usually comforts me. Like, she'll hold my hand, or she'll be like, we can leave, like, if you need to. And
I was going to ask, how does your fiance comfort you in those situations?
Until her, I did not like physical touch. I didn't like my siblings touching me. I don't like hugs. I don't touch anyone, really. Like, even my friends, they'll be like, oh, what's a hug? And I'm like, literally don't touch me. And I never even liked it from my family members. Like, they would like my sisters like force hug me. They're my sisters.
Yeah.
Like, they're just being rowdy. But I really don't like physical touch. And with her though, like, her physical touch brings a lot of comfort. Like, she will give me a hug or something, or hold my hand, and like we'll communicate. Like, especially if I get in a zone where I can't like speak, because there's sometimes where I just have like, I'll go mute. like I don't want to talk, and like I can't talk, or like I don't know, I freeze up, I tense up, I can't talk, I don't want to talk. Even if I try, I can't talk.
Yeah, you get like tongue twisted.
Yeah. And we'll communicate by squeezing our hands. And she knows sign language, so she's been teaching me sign language for when I can't communicate to her, like physically. We'll sometimes sign to each other, and that's been really helpful too. Because my mom will be like, talk to me or something, and I'm like, I can't, I'm like frozen up, a statue.
That is so sweet of your fiance to learn sign language. That way she can communicate with you if you don't want to talk. That is, wow.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, she's very sweet and comforting. She's brought a lot of...
Very supportive.
Yeah, a lot of comfort when I'm in uncomfortable situations.
So, like, if someone proposes to you in the sense, like, hey, let's go to this concert, or, okay, here's an example. You wanted to go to that, correct? Or, like, a concert that was in our area?
Yeah, she wanted to go to it, so I, went with her, yeah.
Oh, so y'all actually did go to the concert?
Yeah, we actually went to it.
Okay, then walk us through how did you handle that? How did Rebecca comfort you, if necessary? How did you approach that?
So, something I also, if I do go to a venue concert and it's not have outdoor seating, we try to get, where you can, you have a seat, and it's not just, a pit that everyone stands in, because I've tried those, and I just can't, there's one time, I can't handle those. They're too much. So in the one, we had a seat, and so she was able to, stand, I would sit down in the seat and kind of put my head down and, do this, because it was really loud, and millions of girls screaming at the top of their lungs there. So I would just, put my head down and, cover my ears, and she would be, rubbing my back. Sometimes, even though she really wanted me to stay to the concert, sometimes I really just had to step out. I had to, go and, I think there's a way to, step outside in this, gated area, and I just really needed to go and get fresh air and, hear some quietness, and, there's tons of girls. This arena is packed. There's so many people. It was a lot. So she would just do the best she can, but she also wanted to see the concert, and I respected that. Mm-hmm. Kind of sucked it up a little bit in that situation for her.
Mm-hmm. So essentially, you found an area where you could, I don't want to retreat to, for lack of a better term, and then you
decompress.
You decompressed, and then when you felt comfortable, you were ready to go out and back and see what was singing about then.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which was really nice. And she would sometimes rub my back and she'd be like, "Are you okay?" and so on. So
was it, I'm curious, was it just the fact that it was consistently that loud, or were there certain songs during the concert where okay, this really makes me uncomfortable, and were there certain songs that okay, yeah, I can listen to this, no problem?
Yeah, specific tones that made you feel differently.
Yeah, not really at that concert, because it's kind of just Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some concerts where I do like their music, but I realized, okay, maybe I don't like it in concert very much. I can only listen to this in my headphones at a low volume. I can't do a concert. And then sometimes the energy, I can really, really feel that, and I don't, I don't know. It was just, some concerts were definitely where I was I have left in the middle of the concerts because I can't do it anymore there.
Yeah, I do sympathize with you there, because there are definitely certain hard rock and metal acts that will be coming to town, and I'll have to think to myself, do I there's one very specific that's going to be, I think, in the same venue where you saw Taylor Swift, and I'm just thinking to myself, all right, if I go to this, it has to be a seat. I'm not going to be on the ground because people are going to mosh, and I don't want to mosh, and two, it's going to be really loud, and so I'm wondering, okay, do I want to put myself in that situation, yes or no? And so, doing research on the venue beforehand I found to be very helpful.
Yeah.
I try to avoid it if it's a small indoor one.
Yeah, I do the same thing just because I don't like unseated concerts. I'm fine with standing during certain songs, but standing for a whole concert is just tiring.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in a mosh pit because it's just not my thing, I guess.
Yeah, same here.
And certain like tones and frequencies mess with me. Like the one where you feel your whole body vibrating because of like the bass.
Yeah.
I can do that for a song, but if it's the whole concert,
It's
I
too
have to
much.
leave because it makes me feel bad. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, I don't know. You feel off after a while. Like, your whole body's just like, nah. You're like numb almost.
Yeah, there was it also depends on like the equipment the band or the artist is using, because the concert I went to recently it was a mixture of like an orchestral and then different rock instruments, and they had a sequence where the bass, oh lordy, I wasn't expecting that much bass, but my entire body was vibrating. Like I could feel my ribs vibrating. Like if this is the rest of the concert, I'm gonna have to leave.
Yeah, I hate that feeling.
And because if it's one thing, if it's like an EDM concert, like, or somewhat, if we want to go back a little bit, like Dead Mouse or something like that, then I expect that. Mm-hmm. If I expect going to this knowing, okay, the bass is gonna be real loud, I may have to step out for a bit. But if I don't expect it and that happens, like, what the actual hell here? Mm-hmm. Well, co-host extraordinaire, I feel like this has been a great first part of the conversation we've had here with our guest.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been pretty fun.
Yes, and thank you for being on this episode, Hannah.
No, thank you. It's been great. I've never actually delved in, like, this is my first time really, like,
talking about all this.
Talking about it, yeah. Like for real, like probably this open too about everything, and I feel like I've never really been asked some of these questions before.
Thank you for answering them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on, and thank you for being willing to delve into these questions and whatnot. And once again, my name is Mitch Grace. I am the author of the book Growing Up with Asperger's: Lessons Learned and Shareable Wisdom, available on Amazon on Kindle, paperback, and the audiobook formats. And we will see you in the next episode.